Okay, so the next thing I have been working on is Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, and Bumble Stitches has had a what they call a project bag along, hashtag project bag along. So if you want to know about them, go to their channels. They each talk about it. They each have a bag tutorial on their channels that you can follow, which is what I did. And I made some project bags. I made actually 4 of them. So I followed um, I've made project bags before, so I know the concept of how to make them. But I still, when I make a project bag, I still have to watch a video kind of to refresh my memory and that. And so I went on to Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, and I followed her bag tutorial to make these bags. And the first 2 I'm going to show you, I used Lori Holt's Vintage Farm Girl books. So there's Vintage Farm Girl and Vintage Farm Girl 2. The first one I'm going to show you is out of this book, and it is this block. Well, it's really tiny because she made a 6-inch block. I made a 12-inch block. And this was my bag. So I made the block using Lori Holt's books, and then I made the bag following Elizabeth's tutorial. And then this is the back. And then on the inside, this is the inside. I used 2 different fabrics because I didn't have enough fabric of one to, but it doesn't matter. It's on the inside of the bag. And then just put a zipper in. If you have any sewing, you can make a bag. If you know how to sew, you can make these bags. Elizabeth's tutorial is really, really easy to follow. And don't ever be intimidated by a zipper. I had never put a zipper into anything until I made my very first project bag. And I used my zipper foot on my machine, and you know, I text my sister a lot and says, okay, how do you do this? It's super easy. You know, it's just making a straight stitch. So if you want to make a bag and you know how to sew, don't be intimidated by the zipper. So there's that one. And then I made this one, strawberry, and I used this book, and there's the strawberry right there. And just use fabric scraps from my stash. Some of it's Lori Holt, some of it's not. This is the back. And then for the inside, again, I used 2 different fabrics because I didn't have enough of one. But it doesn't matter on the inside because no one's ever going to see it, right? Right. And I'll explain why I did the strawberry in a few minutes. All right, the next one I made was this one. So this one is using, if you go into Bumble Stitches, she does a tutorial just how to do this part, the 2.5-inch squares. But she has a way to do it that it's super, super easy to do them. And so you just use iron-on interfacing. So anyway, if you want to know how to make them, go onto her tutorial. And again, I used Elizabeth's tutorial to make the bag. That's the inside, and I was really impressed because all of my stripes go up and down. When I cut it, I thought, oh, I think I cut it wrong, because I thought some of them were going to go sideways. No, they all went the right way. And then the last one I made was this one. And these 2 that have the 2.5-inch squares, I just use what's called a mini charm pack, and it's a charm pack that's 2.5-inch squares, and I think there's 42 of them in there, and you need 35 to make this. So you could actually use the other 7 and make the top up here if you wanted to, but I didn't. This is my back. And this is the inside. So anyway, so Project Bag Along, I think it's still going on. Just you can follow the hashtag on Instagram. All right. What have I been working on? Okay, so I have been working on Farms at Hawkwind Hollow. And I am doing this block. My goal for the month of March was to start and finish this block. And I am really close. I have a couple more days in March, and I think I might can get it done. I did not pull this completely out of the Q-snap because it's such a big piece. But there is my March block. I am changing the colors around a little. I'm using the call for colors. I've just switched things around a little. So in here, the called for was a gray color. I'm using the called for DMC. I'm not using the silks. But I don't know if you can tell. But the pond in the picture and the called for was gray. And I want my pond to be a little bit more blue. So I just used one of the color. It's a called for color, but it's just not in this block. And then the other thing I did is, if you'll see in the windows in the door, they're outlined in a gold color. And I outlined mine in brown. And then I'll probably fill in the windows maybe with yellow. So that's where I'm at. So I have a couple more days in March, and I think I can get this one done. So I did, and I changed the tail on this cat because it was just really funky. I don't know. Just really funky. So anyway, I am stitching this on 14 count vintage country mocha. All right, the next thing I worked on was Cross Stitch Nation. I am really close to having this done. I think all I have left, well, I have this girl and the rest of the border, and then I have the whole top border still left to do. And this is where I'm at. Something so that window doesn't show. There we go. I am using the call for DMC. Actually, no. I am not using the call for colors. What I did is I just went into, I'm using Victoria Motto, and then what I didn't have Victoria Motto is DMC. But I'm using kind of the same colorway, but I pulled my own colors. And the red I'm using is 347, DMC 347. And the reason I'm using that as the red is because this was a sew along or a stitch along with Lori Holt. And she started this for her birthday, and her favorite DMC red is 347. So that's why I used my red. That is the red. All right. And the next thing I worked on was When Flowers Bloom. And this is where I'm at. This is stitched on 14, no, this is stitched on 18 count. 18 count. I don't have the I don't have the tag with me to tell you what color it is. But it's a real buttery yellow. It is 18 count. I'm using one strand of floss. I did have to change my fence color, and I changed the color of her apron. And the reason why is because it wasn't showing up. It was white and it wasn't showing up. All right, the next thing I worked on, okay, so these are now we're getting into my new starts. So my first new start I had was for a family holiday. It was I had my grandkids' birthday on the 5th. They're twins, so they turned 8 years old. And so for their birthday, I started this summer schoolhouse lessons in Abecedarian by With Thy Needle and Thread. And I started these on Vintage Country Mocha, and my house would not show up. So I determined my house would not show up. So I switched it to a different color, and I don't know what fabric I'm using. I do know it's 18 count, and I will be better prepared in my next video. I'm kind of a little bit flustered just because I have to watch my time, but it is really close. This fabric is really close to the called for fabric, and that is how far I got, and I only stitched on this one day. Right, and my next new start was on March 10th for my daughter's birthday, and I started Salt Box Quilt Sampler. And I wanted to get this started because I have an idea of how I want to finish this. And I am stitching it on 18 count Vintage Country Mocha with my let me go back to this. On this one, I'm using a thread conversion that someone gave me. I don't remember who it was, but somebody on, I believe, Instagram, and I'm using her thread conversion. And so on this one, I am using my own conversion, DMC floss, but it's really close to the called for colors, and that's how this is how far I got. This is one day of stitching, and then the next start I had was for St. Patrick's Day. And this is also part of a SAL. If you watch Crafty Cottage Stitchers, Jeanette and Heather, they are hosting a Strawberry Social SAL. So it's hashtag Strawberry Social, and social is SEW. I will link it below in the first video. I will link it below in all 3 videos. Sorry. Anyway, so I joined their Strawberry Social SAL. And this is what I chose to stitch. Berry Keeper by With Thy Needle and Thread. I am stitching it on 18 count Vintage Country Mocha using 1 strand of floss and my own threads, my own thread conversion. The threads are close to, when I do a thread conversion for With Thy Needle and Thread, because she doesn't list DMCs, I do my own conversion, but I pick colors that are really close to the chart colors. And that's why I made this bag, is for the Strawberry Social. So I made a bag, and this is in the bag. So I'm hoping, so I finished the Prim Stitch series, and I finished the March block. So this has been my morning stitch for the last few days. So I'm hoping maybe I can get it done. We'll see. All right, and then my last start I had was on the first day of spring. And I am stitching Lizzie Kate's Things Unseen sampler. This was a mystery sampler from a few years back. And I am stitching it on excuse me, 14 count parchment. It's a Swigart fabric. And I am using all of the called for DMC, except for this. See that color right there? The call for DMC is actually a pink, and the chart does not show it as pink. I don't know if you can see that or not. No, you can't see it. The hearts. Anyway. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not, when I went to stitch, I'm like, that's not pink. So I went in and just pulled out a floss that I thought was close in the color, and I don't remember what it is. So anyway, so called for DMC with the exception of that one. And that might be, it might be 926. So anyway, those are my whips that I've been working on. All right, we are to the 15-minute mark. I am going to stop here and I will be back with my plans for April and to show you my new starts for April and what I'll be working on and to show you a quilt. So I'll be right back.